The American Dream, the only show that combats negative media, not owned by a network, commercial-free, unscripted. We got a great show for you today coming from New York City, the media capital of the world. Let's get the American Dream started right now.
We do it in the spirit of going against the grain of the negative media, giving inspiring information, and having people walk away from our show with something of value.
You're seeing a disruption in both the real estate and the mortgage space.
A lot of people are just not willing to put in the work.
What video does is that it demands an emotional response.
You know what I love about this show? It's totally unscripted.
Here we are, Times Square, the city never sleeps.
Yeah.
So I actually started in New York City when I was 21 years old. I had an internship right down the street at MTV when I used to actually play music.
Yeah.
I got dropped here, a guy from the Midwest, knew nobody, but got to know the city, fell in love with this city, and 9/11 happened, ended up back in the Midwest, was finishing school. Well, ended up being a college dropout, tripped and stumbled into this real estate game.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I ended up in Southern California, so it's so funny to come full circle to launching the American Dream, a national TV show now in 23 cities in New York City, and how it's all come full circle.
I love it because not only do I get to know more stories, we get to amplify them over 23 cities. Now, of course, New York City.
Well, it's the family,
Yep.
it's the home, and then it's the location and the lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
it all kind of comes together. And one of the things we're trying to do with this show is highlight these different communities all across the country. You recently brought us Ben Bacal.
Yeah.
And when we talk about things like the American Dream, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big.
Yes.
A $250 million listing.
The biggest.
Yeah.
The biggest.
So here's what we did. Took a helicopter ride,
Yep.
$250 million listing on the West Coast. Let's go check it out. Dream and I have been invited by San Diego's premier luxury realtor, a friend of our show, the Seth O'Byrne. And we're giving LA's leader in luxury real estate, Ben Bacal, a helicopter tour of what San Diego has to offer in the luxury real estate market from the sky. Buckle up.
I've been traveling the entire country, launching the American Dream all across the United States, and in each market we isolate the elite realtors in every market. Today we did something fun. We brought Ben Bacal, who is the #1 agent for luxury up in LA.
So glad to be here.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. It has a $250 million listing right now, amongst many other. A great portfolio. And we got Seth O'Byrne, who you see on the show all the time, who is our expert out of San Diego. Of course, on his phone. But we're just touring America's finest city, maybe having a little in-air debate about LA and San Diego from two of the best nationwide. When you approach a luxury home and you're taking it to market, what are some of the strategies that help move that house?
I spend anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month on those luxury listings because everyone's on their phone.
Yep.
I want those listings, viral on your phone. So that's what I implement. And of course, for the super high-end properties, we'll have a PR company come in and strategize and build stories around the property and try to get free editorials as much as we can.
Is there, obviously there's a lot of thought that goes into it, but it's not for sure what that property is going to sell for when you list it for 20, 30, 40 million, right? I mean, there's some guesswork there.
No, when you're in that 20 to 30 million dollar mark, you know that they're going to sell for pretty close to that. It's when you're pushing in that 40 to 250 stratosphere.
Yeah.
Then it's a bit different game, but. The price per square foot has been, we're really price per square foot driven in Los Angeles. We're lucky because we have the comps to back it up. So you can say like a house down the street sold for $3,000 a foot or $2,500 a foot. Museum quality stuff is selling for about $2,500 a foot.
Share with me a story, an example of something you've moved recently.
Recently we did a house for $48 million, and it's a New York buyer that came out and bought it. And then we have a lot of buyers from the UK that are venture capital, private equity. A lot of Chinese are buying, and then mostly it's domestic because the United Emirates dollar is pegged to the US dollar, and this the British thing. Everything's in flux. So right now it's really domestic, but I do advertise in like Camju and luxuryrealestate.com and Prestige MLS, and I put it in Mandarin. The listings I'll translate them, and also on YouTube I'll translate them. But essentially they're coming out here and they're hiring me, looking for their home of their dreams, and like the big listings spending like $10,000 a month, pushing them so they're where their screens your house is going to be, right?
Yeah, so really, even though in some ways, obviously, luxury real estate has been known for being cutthroat, kind of to the opposite, you have to be collaborative with the other partners out there, right?
Yeah, you really have to, exactly. You got to be collaborative with your fellow associates, and you got to maintain that relationship. Getting exclusive listings, they're great, but often they trade hands really quickly. You get a 6-month listing, and it doesn't trade, and then you pass it off to the next guy, and then boom, it could sell, which is okay. It's just the name of the game, right?
Ben, you got any final remarks about San Diego?
Well, from the air, I really got a really terrific perspective. Thank you, Seth, for showing me all the different areas. They're beautiful. Those hillside, those cliffside properties were extraordinary. I couldn't believe what I saw. And the value that you get for beachfront property is exceptional. I'm looking to maybe buy something one day. That'd be cool.
Hope you enjoyed, and cheers to your American dream.
People come here to succeed, and if you don't succeed here, you don't stay. So owning a media company in Southern California to spread across the country, doing it city by city, and then New York City becoming our 23rd, it's the place where you're bringing the best of the best. In the media capital of the world, owning a media company, this is where you want to get to. Look at me now. I mean, it's just one of those things now where we have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
We've pulled major partners, sponsors, and got this momentum where we're here to launch.
Welcome back to the American Dream. Well, my next two guests are top producing luxury specialists in the real estate market out of the Phoenix area. I want to welcome back onto the show Brian North. He is the owner and realtor of North & Co. and Robin Orscheln. She is the founder and team lead of the RO Luxury Group. Thank you both so much for being on the American Dream today.
Always good.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So you recently have come together. Robin, I know that you are an absolute leader in the luxury market out of the Arcadia areas and the Paradise Valley area. And Brian, you really have had an incredible upward ascension in the luxury market over the past few years with your company. What are some of the reasons, Brian, for you specifically, that you would attest for your rapid growth?
Yeah, it's actually really cool to be sitting here next to Robin. For so long, I looked up to her in the luxury market. She has been such a force in the market that I've wanted to gain market share in for so long. And so I've really looked to leaders like her in our target market to kind of gain what is it that she's doing well and some of our other counterparts are doing well, but also what is it that our client really wants. From a brokerage perspective, one of the things that I can tell you that has been paramount for us is that the luxury brokerage models tend to be very internally competitive. And something that we really have worked to achieve culturally over the last 3 or 4 years has to bring together 160 luxury professionals to make sure that they're all working together to help each other sell their properties. At the end of the day, the luxury resale process is challenging because the timelines are longer, and you get to grow in a marketplace and have rapid ascension when you execute. Really, that's the most important part. We just sell more property. And so we're gaining the eyes of the market from that perspective, but then with help like professionals like Robin and her bringing her long-standing expertise from the marketplace, it really is helping us move quickly and gain a lot of traction.
Absolutely. It sounds like it's invaluable. Robin, why did you want to collaborate with Brian and his company, North & Co.?
Well, I've looked up to Brian for his the innovation that he's brought to our industry. He kind of came on the scene as a real go-getter. He kind of went at real estate a different way than our luxury market, which was going at it, which was really focusing on the well-known brand. And I feel like he brought just kind of a realness, a pace that I personally find super exciting, and also the culture of the people that he has attracted to his company is just state of the art. And I think at the end of the day, you know, sales comes down to the person that you're dealing with, and he has attracted incredible human beings to his brokerage.
I think a great way to describe both of you is really innovative, forward thinking. So with that being said, what are you seeing as far as the luxury customer is as far as they're concerned? How are things changing in the market right now as compared to maybe 3-5 years ago?
Yeah, I think just to start on a couple things, you know, I think that one thing that's been very consistent, and I'll use the word traditional, I think maybe even fallen a little bit flat, is the overwhelming conversation around the importance of marketing. I have to be straightforward. We gave away the stock when we allowed for our MLS to be syndicated to our mobile devices. We no longer have the properties to be able to show our clients. They can just go find them without us. So what's really, really important, and what Robin and I are hearing from our clients in the luxury market that's critical, is do I have the right salesperson, right? Like, am I really dealing with the person that once the marketing gets me a showing, can actually sell my home to a contract? And then from there, it's negotiations. Do I have the right negotiator who can take the contract to an actual opening of escrow? And then the last part is, do we have the systems internally to make for a systemized, smooth, and stressless transaction that makes sure that our affluent clients retain the highest dollar in their real estate transaction? For me, that's something that I've seen is overwhelmingly growing in difference, but we also have to educate the client how to ask those questions because they're so fixated on the marketing conversation. Robin likes to talk a lot about their instant gratification in that longer selling cycle, and that's something that's been changing as of late. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in a time in the world that is verifiable. So people are moving quickly. Our world is quick. We have instant information at our fingertips, text, email, phone. People want to get a hold of you immediately. They also want to verify everything that's coming out of your mouth immediately. It used to be that you could just be very good at selling yourself, and now you really have to be very good at selling yourself and then selling the product and then verifying all that you're doing to sell, to close, to negotiate, to win the trust of today's consumers. So you're really held to the fire now, not just on your name, not on your popularity. You have to prove it.
So much work involved, particularly in this luxury market. It's just absolutely incredible. Before I let both of you go, I do want to give you an opportunity to highlight a property you are co-listing. This is the premier listing in Arcadia right now. Tell me about this property.
We've just won an awesome listing in Arcadia. It's an iconic piece that sits on over 4 acres adjacent to the Frank Lloyd Wright property that is also up for sale. It is kind of a pinnacle of a person's career. It's very fun to be representing this. This home was built in the 1970s and was meant to replicate an 18th century farmhouse. So we are working with a dynamic team. Brian and I on the sales side, we have CP Druitt as the architect, Jamie Rose as interior designer, and Two Hawks Design and Development as the developers of this product. So we have literally a dream team, and we have the most desired parcel in Arcadia, and we're super excited to be representing this piece.
Oh, it's just, sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, it's okay. Just Norden Estates, Norden Manor's the big main house. Norden Estates are the 3 parcels up front. When you sit on Exeter, the main street in Arcadia, and look direct to the house, you see a panoramic backdrop of Camelback Mountain. Yeah. It is a one-of-a-kind piece. The homes will range from $5 to $8 million, and Robin's your direct point of contact. She can help you with everything you need. Well, it's a great one.
Absolutely fantastic. And as you've been speaking, we've been seeing images of this property across our screen. Just jaw-dropping. Congratulations to both of you on your well-deserved success, and thank you so much for being on The American Dream today.
Appreciate you guys as always.
And we'll be right back with more of the show.
The show's called The American Dream, right? There's only one city in the country that has an Ellis Island. You know, this is a place where people have come for hundreds and hundreds of years to stake out their claim in what is the American Dream. And so having a show called The American Dream, launching in a place known to found the American Dream is a huge deal.
What I love most about San Diego is the pace. People move here because they know that life is short. You gotta live it in a place that recognizes that. You know, I would always joke I can go from business suit to wetsuit in 15 minutes on a Friday afternoon. I think I've got it beat. I've got it down to about 12 minutes now. That's what living in San Diego is about. Today I'm going to take you guys to a property that we just put on the market in Sapphire Tower. This condo is probably one of the best properties, one of the best views in all of San Diego. On the way, we're going to pick something up special for the sellers. We're going to go to Donut Bar. Actually, it's here right now. Let's get some donuts. Could I get some creme brulee and then a Boston cream and a chocolate euphoria? I was going to have a beer, but I think it's too early.
It's not too early, sir. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Thanks. When you're in downtown San Diego, you might walk right by it and think it's nothing, but the Donut Bar has been on USA Today, it's been on the Thrillist, it's been on TripAdvisor. This is probably one of the hottest donut bars in America, and we got it in our backyard. This penthouse listing is actually really personal to me because not only do we have a listing on one of the most expensive penthouses downtown San Diego, I was working on this project when I was 19 years old as an intern for the builder. So to come around 16 years later and have a listing of this caliber is something that really means a lot to us. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3,000 square feet, but you're not just buying it because of the stats, you're buying it because of the materials, you're buying it because of the Sub-Zero commercial wine fridge, the Miele, the Wolf. All these materials are absolute top of the line, and for an affluent penthouse buyer, they're the units, materials that you would really want. The reason I would buy this property is this room right here. One of my favorite rooms in the penthouse is the master bedroom. It's got floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall windows. It overlooks over $2 trillion in downtown penthouse living. You can see out of this window to Mexico. You can see Coronado Islands in the San Diego Bay. I like to joke that this is a 50 Shades of Grey style penthouse. And I like to think that Christian Grey himself would love this one feature that he has right here. And this is a hidden staircase, in case you have guests that need to leave in a hurry. You know, the reality is for $3 million you could buy a lot of house, right? But you can't replicate this view. You know, that beach across the street, that's a white sand beach I surfed out this morning. For a local San Diegan, you know you're looking at basically the best of our city all in one shot. So as great as the inside of this property is, you realize that it takes all of it to make it one of the best properties in San Diego.
All right, and cut. Good job, guys.
We're done?
We're done.
You want a donut?
Yes.
Everybody has decided, they've made that conscious decision that they choose positivity, that they still believe America is a staircase, and that there's a possibility for everybody to go up. People rejecting negativity and choosing positivity. People deciding that they want to do more with their businesses, more with their time, more with their families, and take part in this incredible economic opportunity we have to be in this country. And so what's so cool is everyone's story is completely different, and this company is thriving as a business, at the same time creating a tremendous amount of social good.
Welcome back to The American Dream. And now joining us out of your Phoenix market, we have Kelly Zitlow joining us today. She's the VP of Cornerstone Home Lending, and she's brought along with her a very special guest. Kelly, great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me, Jen.
So this is Craig Cherney. Tell me a little bit about why you wanted to bring Craig on.
Well, Craig is a divorce attorney here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he's with Canterbury Law Firm. And one of the things that I see a lot in the home lending process is people are either going through a divorce or have just gone through a divorce, and they really just don't understand the impact of the divorce itself on current or future financing. So I conned Craig into coming by today and just chatting and sharing a little bit of what's going on his side of the equation, so we can kind of come together and just educate our people out in our community.
Fantastic. Well, Craig, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So one of the things, Craig, that I see most from a home lending standpoint is people tend to think that if during that divorce that it's agreed upon that one party will deed off the home, that people think that that just relinquishes or allows them to walk away from the debt. And that's not the way it works. So I wanted you just to kind of give us a little insight into that part of the process when somebody's going through a divorce.
Of course. So every divorce, the marital residence is usually the number one asset. And a quitclaim, while it takes you off the deed, it doesn't take you off the debt. So whether that's Wells Fargo, Bank of America, whoever it is that gave you the money to buy that residence is still going to come after both mom and dad or husband and wife unless you refinance.
Okay, right. So what I see is people don't know that. One party quitclaims their interest off of the home loan, and heaven forbid that other person decides not to pay the mortgage or defaults and there's a foreclosure. Both parties' credit is absolutely affected. And so that's where the person that disclaimed their interest potentially has no awareness or a thought. In their mind, they're like, well, I disclaimed my interest. I'm not responsible for it. Yep. And that's not the case.
It can happen years down the line. We see it a lot. So the advice is get good advice, but more importantly, protect your credit and get your credit unoccupied by that residence through a refinance, which eliminates the prior debt altogether.
That is the only way to eliminate the debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the second thing I wanted to bring up is a lot of times I do see that one party has decided to retain the home, and then there is going to be some type of equity buyout that needs to happen. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so generally speaking, the house is co-owned 50-50, which means the equity would be 50-50. Let's use an example of, let's say, $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
That would normally just be an easy 100 for each party. We all go home and move on with our life. But be aware, as the stay-behind spouse doing a buyout, you are now taking on all future liabilities for selling this house, of the realtor fees and the closing costs. So on $1 million property, that can be real money. That can be $60,000 or $70,000. So your $100,000 that you thought you were holding on to just became 30 or 40 when you someday sell the house.
That is invaluable. I know people aren't thinking about that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Craig, what is the current trend in divorces?
There's an exciting new trend. It's called collaborative divorce. It's a private process. You don't go to court. You control the timing and you control the cost. It's usually done in 3 to 6 months, not 6 to 24 months. And it's conducted by the family with professionals, not by a stranger in a black robe, what we call a judge.
Wow. So you and I have chatted previously. Just share the why behind this, because I know you're really pushing this trend and it's something you believe in with your whole heart.
What collaborative law does in a divorce setting is it saves the family. It allows future co-parenting. You can go to birthday parties and weddings and athletic events with your ex-spouse and have actually some warmness and some intelligence about your future together, as opposed to the animosity that the courthouse typically can generate.
Right.
So one of the things we do is at bestlegalchoices.com, you can learn all about collaborative law and how it might change the dynamic of your family should it ever elect to divorce.
I love what you're doing. Thanks so much for stopping by today.
Thank you.
Thank you both to Craig and Kelly. Thank you for being on The American Dream. Great content today, great information. And we will be right back with more of the show.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. The American Dream now spans coast to coast, all across the country and everywhere in between. The whole idea, to empower the mindset of the American Dream. Did it from New York City today. This is actually the place I started in media. Working for MTV, living in Chinatown. I'll never forget my first day in Union Square, which is where this $18 million pad is. Met my roommate, And he said, hey man, let me show you around New York City. Show you what this town has to offer. So we walked up here to Union Square. And I'll never forget, he sat down and he said, sewing, grab yourself a piece of real estate. This is a great place to take a nap. Put his arms behind his head, laid back down. So my first day, almost 20 years ago in New York City, I took a nap in the street. So to be back here, launching the show, spreading positive information, and empowering the mindset of the American dream, quite the honor. Thanks so much for watching the show. Hope you enjoyed it from New York City and all the areas we covered. That's all for today. Hope you can follow us on social media. I'm gonna go take a nap.